We're going to go ahead and get started. And like I said, we're going to finish these two today and then we'll move on to our new notes. And our new notes are not that bad. Okay. So be ready. I'll give you a second. Remember yesterday we were talking about slope and we were doing it a couple different ways. If we were graphing, it was rise over run. If we were doing points, it was y minus y over x minus x. And if it was a table, it's the change, sorry, not the change in x, the change in y. Over the change in x. And you have that wrote down all on the other pages. So you can rewrite it or not. It's up to you. So on this one, we're actually going to have coordinates, but you have to make your coordinates. So pay attention because these are on your test, or they were. Okay, we might modify it and they may not be on there, but they are on the final exam. Okay, so they will be on your Math 1 final exam. So what you're doing, these are x's. So these are x coordinates. So when we write them, we have to figure out what their y is. We have to figure out what their y is. And I don't know why there's a second step right there. That's not important, okay? The way we figure out y is how we did last unit when we plugged those numbers in. So the first time, and we're just going to use our calculator. Again, you can use them. Remember when we had like this, f of 4. You guys remember doing that last unit? Yeah, and we just plugged in 4. That's what we're doing. So on this one, we're going to plug in 1. So every time I see an x, -2, I'm going to plug in 1. Then we have a square. Minus, I'm going to plug in 1 and +2. So plug it in. And then that gives you -1. And that's your y coordinate. Okay. You're going to do it again, but you're going to plug in 3. So -2 times 3 squared. -3 plus 2. And we get -19. Okay. So plug in 1. Then we plugged in 3. And then we're going to find the slope of those two coordinates. So the first thing we did was plug in 1 and we got -1. Then we plugged in 3 and we got -19. Now we're going to do our slope. Okay, so remember our slope formula is right here, y minus y over x minus x. You have x and y, x and y. What's our first y coordinate? -1 minus, what's our second y coordinate? -19. On the bottom, what's our first x? Minus, what's our second x? 3. We're going to put that straight into our calculator like we did yesterday. So I did alpha y equals -1 minus -19 and 1 minus 3, which gives me -9. So the only thing different is you have to find your y coordinates. And the way you do that is just like last unit where you plug it in. All right. So on this one, the first thing I'm going to do is plug in 0. Plug in 0. So I have 2 times 0 squared plus 0 plus 1. So I'm plugging it in right here. 2 times 0 squared plus 0 plus 1. And that gives me 1. Okay. That makes your coordinate. I plugged in 0 and I got 1. The second one I'm going to plug in is 3 because that's what it gives me. 2 times 3 squared plus 3 plus 1 gives me 22. So my coordinate is 3, 22. And now you just find your slope. So here's your x and your y, x and your y. What's your first y coordinate? 1. What's your second one? Minus 22. Over, what's your first x? Minus your second one? 3. We put that in our calculator. 1 minus 22 over 0 minus 3 gives us 7. You will not have any homework on that today. Not at all, okay? Just wanted to show you how to do it. Now, it may show up on your test, so be ready for that, okay? But we'll go over it and review it the day before. Not a problem. Good? Everybody good? All right. Flip it over. New set of notes. Is slope-intercept form notes. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. You have two things that you're going to plug in for. The first one is going to be for m, and we found that out yesterday. That was our slope. Remember I told you it was slope was m. And then you have b that you're going to plug in for, which is the y-intercept. We also call the y-intercept where the graph starts. Okay, where the graph starts. Just so you remember, if you haven't learned it, you're learning it now. It's where the graph crosses the y-axis. Where the graph crosses the y-axis. Right. So we use a lot of color today. It might get on your nerves, but it's going to happen. Slope will always be yellow, and y-intercept's going to be pink. Okay. So remember, on this first graph, this is going to be your y-axis. Okay. We want y equals mx plus b. B is our pink. Where does it cross the pink line at? Where does the graph touch the pink line? -4. That's your y-intercept, so we're going to put a -4 right there. Okay. And then yesterday we learned how to do slope from a graph, right? So on your EDIA app, it was a little bit harder to do because you had to like really look hard and count, but you find 2 perfect points and your y-intercept is one of those, and you look for another one. So it looks like right here. And we make our triangle and we count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is our rise. 3 is our run. Is this a positive graph or a negative graph? Positive. So what was our rise? 7, and our run was? It was what? Look at it one more time. -4 was our y-intercept. What was our run on our triangle? 3. Those are the 2 things you need. Fill it in with y equals and the x. That's it. Okay, so the only new thing that we did is the y-intercept, finding the y-intercept. So look at it again. Here's your y-axis. Where does it cross the y-axis at? -4. So again, we're plugging into y equals mx plus b. And we said b was We're going to do our slope. We have to find 2 perfect points. So this is one of them. We're going to find another perfect one right there. And do our triangle. Your rise is 2. Your run is 3. Is it positive or negative? Negative. So we plug that in for M. Last thing you do is put your Y and your X in. That's it. That's your equation. There is no more to it than that right there. There are some even easier ones on the next page. It can get easier. Okay. All right, look at this one. Where does it cross the pink line? Five. It's okay. So our B is 5. And then we find 2 perfect points. So that was a good one. And actually the one right next to it is good. If you want to go further, you can. It doesn't matter. So what's our rise and our run? 1 and 1. So rise 1, run 1. Is it positive or negative? Positive. It's going up. It's okay. It's okay. From the left to the right, am I moving my finger up or down as I graph it? Up. So that's positive. Okay. All right. So then we put our X and our Y on there. And it's a positive 5, so it'll be a plus. Now, you won't see this because we can reduce 1 over 1 to 1. But also remember, we don't ever show the ones on the variables. So your actual solution would be this. Remember, EDA will take any of this. EDA will take any of this. But if you get a multiple choice on your final exam, it'll look like this. Okay, it'll reduce everything. All right, I'll take anything. All right, number 4. Where does it cross the pink line at? Perfect. So when we plug it into y equals mx plus b, we have a -5 for b. We're going to do perfect points. I'm going to do it over here just so you can see it a little bit better. These are 2 perfect points. It's the same as the last one. We did a rise 1 and a run 1. Is this one positive or negative? Negative. Try it one more time. Positive, because as I trace it from left to right, my finger goes up the paper. So this will be 1 over 1x. Remember, we can reduce it, so it can be 1x, or it can just be x minus 5. Again, EDA will take all of it, so don't stress out about your reductions. Just know if it's multiple choice, it'll be like the one I boxed in. Yes. Try it by yourself. Go ahead. Oh, sorry. Yeah, try it by yourself. Kendall's overachieving today. I said you're overachieving today. I like it. You're fine. To be honest, just a step left it. It's just a 31 bag embroidered. I want the one with pockets. I want it that size, but with the pockets all the way around. Just look at 31.com. All right, that's what I use. I have 2 bags like that. What you got? You better hurry up. All right, here we go. We're going to do y equals mx plus b. Where does it cross the pink line? This should be quick because you've already done it. Are you sure? Yeah, it's actually -3. Just got to look close. These little boxes.
How do you know?
Just find where it crosses. Do you see it or no? Okay. And then we're going to do our slope. So there's one perfect point, and here's another one. So if we make our triangle, it doesn't matter which way you make it. Your rise is 6. Your run is 3. Is it positive or negative?
Is it okay if it's 1?
Not 1. Not 1.
No, it's because I did one like that, but I went to positive 1.
It should still be the same slope, regardless. Okay, even if you don't get the same numbers, you would have gotten 3 and 1. Did you get that?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
So, is this positive or negative? It's negative. All right. It's okay. So now what I had was -6/3, but I told you those will reduce. Edia will take this, but if I reduce it, it'll change into -2x minus 3. Sorry, I should have said -2/1. What? Yeah. So it's all the same. I don't care which one you give me. Okay. All right. Look at your next one. This one is super easy because remember, it gives you the slope is m and the y-intercept is b. So I'm plugging into y equals mx plus b. People miss this on the test, and I don't know why. It's literally writing the equation out. So y equals, what they give you for your slope? -5/3. We put the x beside that. Just make sure you put that x in there. So if you miss it on Edia, this is probably what you'll miss, putting that x on there. And then our last number is a +5, so +5. Oh, yes. I told you it got easier, didn't I? But a lot of people miss these. A lot of people miss these on the test. Just on the Edia, don't forget to put your x in that equation. So on the next one, it's y equals, what is our slope? 10/3. What do we put behind it? X. And then what's our last number? And we put a plus because it is positive. It is that easy. Don't make it any harder than what it is. Number 8, y equals, what's your slope? 1. What do we put behind it? Before that? X, and then yes, a -3. Remember that if you're doing this multiple choice, it won't have the 1 in front of it. Edia doesn't care. I don't care. Multiple choice, you won't see the 1. Got it? Next one, y equals, what's our slope? What do I put behind that? And then? +4 because it's a +4. That is it. You do have some of those on your homework tonight, okay? It'll take you like 2 seconds. So real quick. Next one, y equals? -2x minus 4. All right. 11 through 20, we've already done in the last unit, okay? So it says write it in slope-intercept form. This means solve for y. We had a whole test on that. So if you didn't get this on the last unit, gosh, you got to get it now, okay? Because we're going to be graphing it. So if you get it, like today it clicks, you might want to go back and try that test part again, okay? Remember, you can retest anytime you want to get 100. Y'all remember that, right? So like if you got a 50, go back. Maybe you'll make a 60. That's still improving your grade, okay? Don't stress out about it too much. All right, so remember our steps. Our first step, when it looks like this, is move x. Our second is divide by y. And I think what threw you off on the Edia app was all the fractions. Okay, so don't stress out about that too much. So the way we move x, it's a positive 3x. So we subtract 3x. which gives us 4y equals, and I told you to put your x first, a negative 3x and a positive 20. And then the last thing I want you to do is divide by the number, and you have to divide everything by that. You've already done this. This is not new. EDIA will take this. It will take this. If you get multiple choice, it's going to reduce it. The 3/4 will not reduce, but 20 divided by 4 is 5. Again, EDIA will take this, so don't stress out too much about the reductions. On your final exam, it'll be like EDIA if you have to type anything in, okay? It'll take all those fractions and everything. Yes, ma'am. Say what? Guys, I don't like you going to the bathroom while I'm teaching. I would like you to go in the 10 minutes that you have class change, or wait till after I'm done. You can go today, but from now on, y'all try not to ask, okay? And that it's been a long time since we've had that happen, so it'll be all right. All right, number 12, what's my first step? What do I need to do? How do I move a plus 2x? Remember, that one's always subtract or add, never a divide or anything like that. Bring down what you see, which is a negative 3y. Write your negative 2x first, and then it's a minus 2. What's your next step? Divide by negative 3. Divide everything. Again, EDIA will take all of this right here just like you see it. But we need to reduce it. What's a negative over a negative? Positive. So 2/3 x, and negative over a negative makes a positive 2/3. Remember, if you're not sure about how to reduce it, you can use math, enter on your calculator. Okay. Again, EDIA will take this. If you put all that in, it's going to take it. It'll be fine. Number 13. What do I do? How do I move it? It's a positive, so I'm going to subtract it. I'm going to bring down that positive 8y. The negative 5x will go first, then the negative 34 will go second. Finish it out, divide by 8. Here's what I'm talking about on your calculator. If you put in negative 5 over 8 and you do math, enter, it'll give you the same number, so that one will not reduce. That's what that tells you. But if I put in negative 34 over 8, do what? What? Did I screw something up? Okay. Then it'll reduce itself to negative 17 over 4. Remember, EDIA will take this. Multiple choice will be this. Gotcha. 14 is already in y equals. There's nothing to do on that one. Okay, so that one shouldn't even be on there. 15, what's my first step on that one? Subtract your x, or your 8x. That leaves us with 5y is equal to, we're writing our negative 8x and our positive 40. Last step, divide everything by 5. If I reduce it, 8/5 won't reduce, but 40 divided by 5 is 8. All right, so 16 through 20 are really, really easy. Okay, you just got to remember how to do it. So what's different about them? What makes them look different? What else? Parentheses, right? So remember, we're going to distribute. So our first step is to distribute to all the numbers inside. And then our second step is to get y alone, and it'll be an add or subtract, okay? Please don't think I was being mean to you, because I wasn't trying to be ugly. Just from now on, make sure that you guys try to go before you come to class and then after I finish teaching. All right, y minus 4. What's 1/2 times x? Yeah, we just squish them together, right? 1/2 x. If you don't know 1/2 times -4, then put it in your calculator. 1/2 times -4. And I did it wrong because I can't do it right. 1/2 times -4. What'd you get? What's on my calculator? -2. You can do it in your calculator. 1/2 times -4. That's step 1. Step 2 says get y by itself. How do we get that y by itself? How do I get rid of -4? Yep. So we get y equals 1/2 x. What is -2 plus 4? Try it on your calculator. -2 plus 4? 2. And that's okay. We'll learn how to do all this by hand, I'll give you test taking strategy. Do your calculator inactive. So y'all just keep using your calculators right now. Build on what you know, and then when we get closer to the end, I'll teach you how not to use your calculator, okay? All right, next one. Let's look at number 19, and I'll come back to number 17. On 19, the first thing we want to do is distribute. We get y plus 5 equals, what's -2 times x? Guys, you just squish them together. So what's -2 times x? -2x. If you have to, use your calculator. What's -2 times -1? +2. That's your first step, distribute. Second step is get y by itself. How do I get rid of +5? And we're going to always minus it to the end. So we get y equals -2x. If you have to, use your calculator. 2 minus 5 is -3. All right. Number 20. First step is to distribute. We get y plus 4. What's 1/2 times x? Yep. Squish them together. What's half of 2? 1. So there's step 1. Step 2, how do I get y by itself? -4 on both sides. I get y equals 1/2 x, and 1 minus 4 is -3. We're going to go to 17, and then I'll do 18. 17, and then I'll do 18. All right, so 17 just has a minus in front. What that means is it has a -1. So I just wanted to rewrite it so that you could see it. So if there's a minus in front, that just means -1 is what you're distributing. All it does is change the signs. Okay. So if I distribute this, I have my y minus 2. -1 times x is -1x, and -1 times 4 is -4. It just changes the signs. Last step, how do I get rid of that 2? Add 2. I get y equals -1x minus 2. This is good for EDIA. Remember, if it's multiple choice, they just won't show the 1. So it'll look like this. I don't care which way you give it to me, okay? I don't care. And then I left 18 for last because it's got a weird fraction, 5/2. So that's not something that you really can probably do in your head. So use that calculator. Distribute your -5/2 x. So we get y plus 3 equals, squish them together, -5/2 x, and then use your calculator. So -5/2, I put it in parentheses, and we're multiplying it times -2. What did we get? A +5. So it's easy if you use your calculator. How do I finish it? I get y equals, my slope was negative 5 halves x. 5 minus 3 is 2. Perfect. Any questions so far? All right, we're gonna flip it over. What are we on? Slope and point and 2 points, and then we're done. Okay. Everybody got this part? Yeah. All right. I'm gonna skip down to 26 and 27. These are the easier ones. These are the easier ones. And I'm gonna show you how to do these on your calculator for now, okay? Once we get to our final exam, I'll show you how to do it by hand. So that way, if it's calculator inactive, it's, you know, you guys will know how to do it. So here's your steps. I hope that you've done this. I think last semester the kids had done it. So we're gonna go to stat on our calculator. That's right below the delete key right there. And we're gonna edit. So we just hit enter. And then in L1, you're going to put your X's, and in L2, you're going to put your Y's. So what are your 2 X's? What are your 2 Y's? Say it again. And if you look, there's my first coordinate, -5, 0, and 4, 1. They should match up and read like that. So -5 and 4, 0 and 1. Got it? Stat and edit. Stat is right below the delete key. I'm pointing to it right now. You see it? Okay. And then you just hit enter. Yeah, you should probably have a calculator for this. And then you just type it in, okay? Then you're gonna go back to stat. You're gonna go over to calc and down to the 4th one. That's not what it says. It says blend reg. So stat, that same key that you just hit, you're gonna go over to calc and down to number 4. You're gonna hit enter like a million times. And then it's gonna give you the equation, okay? What's wrong with this one? It's all decimals, right? So we gotta figure out what to do there. So just leave it for a minute. This is a really crappy one to teach you, I guess. It tells you what it is up here, AX plus B. So it's going to be Y equals your A was 0.11, and then plus your B, which is 0.55. I'll show you how to do it by hand in a minute. We're going to do a couple in the calculator, and then I'll show you how to do it by hand. All right, check your next one. What's your first step? Go into stat and edit. What are your 2 X's? You can just type over them. You don't have to clear anything out. What are your 2 Y's? 3 and 1. And then you go back to stat, over to calc, and number 4. Okay. Did you edit? You got your list in? Okay. Stat, over to calc, down to number 4. So stat, over to calc, and then down to number 4. And then hit enter. And then enter a million times. And this one's ugly too. Sorry, y'all. So we get Y equals -0.3 repeating X plus 2.67. Again, I'll show you how to do it by hand in a minute. Let's do one more in the calculator and then I'll show you by hand. The reason I'm going to teach you calculator today is in a couple days. It'll be a little bit. In a few days, we'll just be doing this completely. Okay, it's linear regression with big, huge numbers, but it's just typing in your calculator. So edit, what are my 2 X's? -3 and 3. What are my 2 Y's? and 1 again. So we're going to do stat over to calc and down to linear regression, hit enter a million times. And this one almost came out wrong. I get 0.67x. You can do 6 repeating, it doesn't matter. Minus 1. All right. So a couple ways to do this. You guys know how to graph points, right? All right, so if I graph these points, -3, -3, I'm doing the one that I just did, and 3, 1. That's my line. Okay. You guys can see that we cross the y-axis at -1, so that's where your -1 comes from. And then if I do my rise and my run, my rise is 4, my run is 6. That's that 0.67. Reduces to 2/3. You can do it on your graph just like we did at the very beginning if you want to. You just got to graph the points. Okay. I'll show you another way to do it in just a minute. Okay. Because it's easy to get the slope. Sometimes it's not as easy to get the y-intercept. So like on this one, where the y-intercept was 0.55, the chances you get that are slim to none. Okay. So we'll work them like we do 21. All right. So now 21 through 25 are the ones that take the longest. Okay. These are the crappiest ones. So if you got these, you're going to be fine today. Okay. And we're not going to do all of them. We'll just do a few of them. All right. So we're going to start with our equation that we've been working on. Y equals mx plus b. Remember that these coordinates are x and y, and your slope is m. We just went back a page, like the top of this one where I started the 2 points. You good? All right. So over to the side, what I do is I go ahead and write my coordinate, and then I just make a little underline right here because I want to fill in that blank. Okay, this will be where my answer is completely. Where did this -1 come from? Not x, but yeah, this is slope. So I didn't want you to think I just randomly put a -1 in. Okay, that came from the slope. What is your y coordinate? We're going to plug that in right here. What is your m or your slope? -1. What's your x coordinate? -1. And then we have plus b because we don't know b, that's what we're solving for. And whenever we finish, it's going to go right there in that blank for our answer. Okay, so this is solving equations. What's a -1 times -1? +1. How do I get rid of +1? And I get b equals -1. 0 minus 1 is -1. That is what goes in the blank. This is your answer. Okay, so it's just solving an equation. We're going to do it a couple times. I'm going to drop down to 25 because it doesn't have a fraction, okay? So that's why I'm skipping around a little bit. I'm trying the easy ones first. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not. All right. So when I finish 25, it should be y equals 2x plus something. Where did the 2 come from? It's the slope, okay? So then I write my equation, y equals mx plus b. We have x, y, and m. This is the same way all the time. So when you have your EDO assignment, make sure your notes are out so you can see that, okay? What's your y coordinate? What's your slope? What's your x? And then we have that plus b that we're looking for. Now we just solve. What is 2 times 1? 2. And how do we get b by itself? Add or subtract? Subtract 2. What is 0 minus 2? -2 goes in that blank. That's your answer. All right. How will I start number 23? Y equals, what's your slope? 1/3 x. And then I don't know what the last number is going to be. That's what I got to find. How do I find it? I plug in for y equals mx plus b. What's your y coordinate? What's your m or your slope? What's your x coordinate? And then plus b. I'm not real good with fractions, so I'm going to put this in my calculator because I'm not sure what I'm going to get. And what did I get when I did 1/3 times 3? 1. So 3 equals 1 plus b. How do I get b by itself? Subtract 1. And I get 2 equals b. 3 minus 1 is 2. That number goes in this blank. And that's your equation. You will be doing this on Monday and Tuesday. Okay, so we're doing a parallel and perpendicular. So is it Monday? Yes. Okay, so if you're not understanding it quite a lot today, we have 2 more days of doing this where you have a slope and then you plug in a point. Okay. Go to the 1/2. What is my equation going to start with? Y equals what? 1/2x, and then we have a plus blank. Don't forget to put your x on there. Okay. Do your equation. What's your y coordinate? Your m? 1/2. Your x coordinate? And then plus b. I'm going to use my calculator. 1/2 times 3. And I get 1.5. How do I get b by itself? I'm going to use my calculator. I get -2 minus 1.5 is -3.5. You can do this 2 ways. You can leave it as -3.5. EDA will take that. Or you can do math, enter. So if it's an ugly decimal, like we were getting on the other ones, find your fraction. You know, EDA won't take 0.111111. So math, enter. And we get -7/2. And that's going to go in your blank. One more and we'll stop. Okay, don't forget if you get 2 points, you can graph them. All right. So the next one, our answer is going to be y equals, our slope is 0x plus blank. So we're going to fill in our equation, y equals mx plus b. What's our y coordinate? What's our slope or m? What's our x coordinate? And then plus b. What's 0 times -1? 0. Remember, a 0 doesn't matter. 0 plus b is just going to be b. Or if I subtract 0, it's still going to be 3. Okay, so whatever you do, it's still going to be 3. And that's going to go up here. Now, I don't know if EDA will accept 0x. But remember, 0 times anything is 0. So we can just mark it out. And we just get y equals 3. So I just wanted to show you one that was kind of weird. And then just in case they do it on EDA, if they ask you for the equation of a vertical line, so if we're graphing, I'm gonna just make a little sketchy graph here. And they give you this line. What axis does it go through? And where does it go through it at? Look at it one more time, what? That's all you do. So just in case they give you one, I don't know if they will, but just in case they do, that's how you write the equation. There will be no y equals for a vertical line. It doesn't touch the y, so there's not going to be a y. Got it? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording. And I want you guys to go ahead and start your Edia app. If you have any questions, let me know, especially on the ones with 2 points, okay? Especially on the one with 2 points. Stop sharing, stop recording. Zoomers, I'll get you Alpha here in just